to Spike video. Today we're gonna dive into how to make your robot just move. So let's get straight into it. So there's two types of blocks you can use to make your robot move. One is the motor section, these blue ones, and the other is these pink ones or purple, whatever you want to call them. These ones that have movement. It's like the movement category. So I'll just start with motors. So these can only run one motor at a time. Actually, now with like the new software, you can choose multiple, but these ones, just use these ones for one at a time. It just makes more sense to do it this way. So if you imagine your robot, right, and one wheel is stationary and the other one is moving, that means that your robot's going to turn. So when you use, it's more like a pivot because only one side is moving. So that means that one side will stay stationary, the other one kind of goes around it. So use these blue ones for when you want to turn. And so mainly use this one right here. So you choose the motor that you want to move. So depending on what side you want to move to turn, you pick the motor and then which direction you want it to go in, and then how many rotations, degrees, or seconds you want to spin it for. And then also you can set your speed for that, so you can decide how fast you want to turn. So that's one way to turn. And then there's another way to turn is it doesn't pivot on one spot. It actually moves and kind of veers off to the side. And that's with this one right here, but we're going to talk about that in a second. I'm just going to go through the other movement pieces first. So to make movement happen at all, you need to tell your robot which motors you're using. So you click on the little drop-down menu here, and depending on where your robot's connected, you choose the two motors that you want. If for some reason your robot you're telling it to turn left and it's turning right, that means that your brain is flipped, but that's okay. You don't need to fix that. You can just click one of the two letters and it swaps the two, and that fixes that issue. And then, so once you do that, you're good to go. It's default for 50% speed, but if you want it to be something else, you can change the speed. I'd recommend not going above 70 or 80, because if you go too fast, the movements become a bit inaccurate, which is not something you really want in FLL. So you can set your movement speed here. And then, so once you've done those two blocks, you can use these move forward, or you can also change it to backwards. And then you can use it, you can do that moving forward or backward for a certain amount of rotations, degrees, seconds, centimeters, or inches. And then also, so again, this turning block I mentioned. So this veers to the right or it veers to the left. You can manually put in a number, or you can grab the little arrow on the wheel and move it. So this is it'll do a gradual curve over the board. So it can make your programs a bit more efficient. Instead of having to drive forward, turn, you can just get all that done in one swoop. But you just know that at the end of the swoop, you'll be at a fun little angle. You might not be perfectly straight. So just have that in your mind when you're using that. And then you can also use this block right here called Start Moving. That block generally be used for if you're driving towards a line and you start moving, and you wait until you see the line and you stop. You stop with the stop moving. So this basically, it makes your robot move forever until something happens. So that's we'll talk about this later, but you'd use something like a wait until after that, like wait until you see a certain color. But we're not getting into that right now. And the only other things in the movement to just make your robot move is that if you are using centimeters or inches, just make sure you have use centimeters or inches as your unit here. Make sure you have one of these blocks right here. So that it just tells your robot how far it goes in one rotation of the wheel. So then if you tell it to go 5 inches, it can do some math. It does the math for you and figures out how many rotations it needs to do to get that certain distance, just based off how big the wheel is. And I'm pretty sure this one, 17.5, is for the small wheel. You can always just look up how many centimeters moved it is per rotation for the type of wheel you're using for your drive. And that's it for the video of today, and thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed.